Get ready to get sticky. Sticky Situations is sponsored by Corona Crush. Corona Crush is creating Jewish couples always. Join the Facebook group. Just search Corona Crush and look out for virtual speed dating events happening every other week. They're 100% free and 100% Jewish.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sticky Situations. I'm your host, Rachel, which obviously you already know because I'm unforgettable. Everyone, whatever you're doing right now, stop, go rate, review, subscribe, follow on whatever platform you're listening on. If your platform allows for it, give us a 5-star rating and a glowing review. Nice reviews only, please. Go like Sticky Situations page on Facebook. Go follow Sticky Situations Pod on Instagram. Go follow Sticky Situations Pod on TikTok. If you would like to be a guest on my podcast, you can send me in. There's applications on all my Corona Crush posts, or you can just send me a DM on Instagram at Sticky Situations Pod, or send me an email at stickysituationspod@gmail.com. Same goes for if you would like to date any of my single guests. I would love to try to hook it up for you, so just send me a message, and I'll try to make it happen. Okay, everybody. I have an extra special guest today, and I'm really excited to record with her. It's been months, maybe even years in the making. Please welcome to the podcast my friend Allison. Allison, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Long-time listener, first-time guest.
I think I coerced her into coming on because I told her that the podcast is going to end if I don't have any more people. So she said she's doing her part. And honestly, she is. So that's just going to be another plug to come on the podcast. If you like listening to the podcast, then come be a guest. Send me friends to be guests. I need more guests. I want to hear all your dating stories. I don't care your background, your gender, your sexuality, anything, your religious level. If you're Jewish and you date, or you have dated in the past, I don't care if you're married, come send me a message. I'd love to have you on the podcast. So that's a major plug. And I'm probably going to keep plugging it, so that probably won't be the last time I say it. But come on the podcast.
Yeah, come on the podcast. That's literally why I'm on, is because I love listening and I don't want it to end.
Thank you, Allison. Okay, Allison, before we get into your stories, and guys, buckle up because Allison has some really crazy ones. Can you tell me and my listeners just some identifying information about you, just to give us some context about your dating world? Can you tell us your age, location, relationship status, and religious denomination?
Okay, I'm 26. I'm based in New York. I am modern Orthodox, and I'm single.
Okay. So Allison, should we just jump right into a story?
Should we dive right into it?
Let's dive right in.
Okay. So I'm currently based in New York, but I've also spent some time in Israel. My family did make Aliyah at one point, a while back. And I've kind of dated in both places, so I feel like my stories span both continents. I'm global at this point. And I'm going to start with a story based in Israel that happened a bunch of years ago, not recent at all, but the trauma still haunts me. I'm modern Orthodox currently, but I do have like some yeshivish elements in my background, and I've had moments in my life when I was more yeshivish as well. My parents are a little bit more religiously to the right. So in this story, I was living at my parents' house. It was also during COVID, so there was like, everyone was at home in those days. And my parents actually set me up, / like a neighbor on our street came to my parents and was like, oh, I know this guy. I'm friends with his parents. He's such a great guy. Your daughter should go out with him. My parents are Bali Tshuva, so they don't know what's going on in the frum dating world. And they were like, okay, cool, sounds good. And they didn't do any research or anything because I guess they didn't know to do that. And I didn't do any research either because I just like trusted my parents / trusted the neighbor. And yeah, basically they just gave this guy my number. I mean, I did agree to it at one point. I was like, okay. And I got a text from him. And I remember vividly that the text like didn't like make 100% sense. And that was when I started to be like, oh, interesting. Like, I wonder if he's Israeli. I'm like very American. I don't have great Hebrew, unfortunately. And in general, I say like in terms of dating, I can really like only date Americans for cultural reasons and for linguistic reasons. So I get this like kind of weirdly phrased text from him. I'm a little confused. And I like try to respond. And I think I also might have asked him somewhere in the text. I was like, oh, are you Israeli? And he was like, yeah, I am. And I was like, okay, like I'm still open to it. Like he could still be a great guy. You never know. So we decide to meet up. And I thought maybe he was going to say like a coffee shop, an ice cream store. He tells me that we're going to meet in a park, which honestly in Israel is pretty normal for a date. I just don't love it personally. So I'm like, okay, we'll meet at a park near my parents' house. I walk to the park. I'm like all dressed up in like my fancy little Shabbos clothes because I was like borderline yeshivish in those days, and you dress really fancy for dates. And I'm just like waiting around like an idiot around like near all these Haredi kids like going down the slide and like playing, and I'm just like, I don't know where this guy is or who he is. I didn't see a picture, which is also key. I didn't see a picture before the setup. And I'm like literally just looking around and I'm like, oh, maybe it's that guy in like the polo shirt. Oh, maybe it's that guy in like the checkered button down. And then like there's this guy that's like getting closer and closer to me, but this guy's not wearing like a polo or a button down or even like a white t-shirt. He's wearing like a stripy t-shirt and he's wearing sweatpants and he's wearing flip-flops and he's wearing like a nanach yarmulke, the kind with like the knitted pom-pom on top that says nanach like around the rim of it.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a gigantic white yarmulke that just says Nana Nachman Me'oman all around, and it has like tassels on it, and yeah, you can't miss it.
Yeah, that was the perfect description. He's just like getting closer and closer to me, and I'm like, no. And then he says my name, and I'm like, no. And I was like, oh, and I like said his name, and he was like, yeah, it's me. And I am like, okay, like we're gonna go on this date. We're gonna do this. So we walk into the park. I think we like sit down on a bench. And it's very clear right away that like he doesn't have a good grasp of English and I don't have a good grasp of Hebrew. So we're very, very like conversationally challenged from the get-go. But I'm trying to ask him about his life. I think like when we'd been set up, I was told like he was in education or like a teacher or something like that. So I'm trying to ask him about that. And he's like, yeah, I have my teaching certificate, but I decided not to teach. And recently I've just been cleaning people's houses so I have more time to play the guitar. And I was like, oh. And again, like all professions are great and are needed in the world, but I think I was getting my master's degree at the time, and I always was very like, I wanted to date people who were more professionally oriented, who kind of had some academic interests as well, and we were just on very different pages in that regard. And then we just kind of like sat there, the conversation died out, and then he takes his flip-flops off his feet and just rests his bare feet on the ground at the park. And I was like, my soul is leaving my body. And keep in mind, I'm sitting next to him in like full out Shabbos clothes and like an ankle length skirt and like a nice blouse, like full hair and makeup done. And he's just sitting there in sweatpants and his bare feet are just resting on the ground.
Oh my God. Ew.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I was so upset that I literally think even on the date, I was like, yeah, so I think it's clear to both of us, like, we're probably not going to go out again, which is so unbelievably rude, but I think I was so done at that point. And then he was very sweet about it in his own way, which I didn't really get. And he was like, yeah, sometimes we can learn things even if it's not the right person for us. And I was like, that is so real. You're so right, sir. And I've learned that I'm not going to say yes to blind dates that my parents suggest anymore. So that is my first story. Any questions?
Love's never lost when perspective is earned.
Dang, that was so good.
We'll get to that later.
That was incredible.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
No, that sounds, at least he was nice about it.
Yeah, he wasn't like a mean person at all. He gave like major hippie stoner energy, and I actually did say that to his face, but he didn't know what a stoner was because he was Israeli. He was like, what is that word? And then I was like, never mind, I shouldn't have said that. That was not okay. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it was not my finest hour. I like tried to keep it together, but like my edges were fraying at the end.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would be slightly traumatized, but also like it could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
And like he could have been a crazy person.
Yeah.
But at least he was like chill and nice and
yeah, he was like a chill crazy person.
I just hope he showers regularly and washes his feet.
I didn't personally have the impression that he did those things, but you never know. Yeah.
Do you know where he is now in the world?
No idea. I would imagine he's probably still in Israel, and he's probably still like a Breslov chassid, which is like the type of chassidus that is into this whole nanach dancing on cars and like music thing. If that made any sense.
Listen, I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, wish him the best. Wish him the best. I would also just tell him not to wear sweatpants on first dates anymore. That's all.
Or flip-flops.
Or flip-flops. Yeah, it's a simple tweak, and then I think he could really be well on the way to finding the girl for him, or the girl for him will know to dress casually.
Yeah. I would love to wear sweatpants on a date.
Yeah. And to be clear, I think after a first date, after the first couple dates, people should dress however they want to dress. But on a first date, especially because I was more yeshivish at the time, and there is a certain fancy quality to yeshivish dating, it was just not at all the wavelength that I was on.
Yeah.
The trauma. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want another story?
Yes.
Okay, this one involves a fun little website called Saw You at Sinai.
Our favorite.
Our favorite. I've been really inspired by some of the things that you've said about Saw You at Sinai on this podcast. I do personally want to join the movement. I want to be part of the revolution to overturn this blight on society.
Yeah.
Just to put it, in a chill
It's
way.
going to happen. So YUConnect/Saw You at Sinai, if you're listening, we're coming for you. You won't know when. We won't know when. And you won't know how, because we also don't know how yet. But we're
we have
coming
some
for
ideas.
you.
1 second. We have some ideas.
Yeah, but
we
we
can't
can't
say
talk
any
about it.
details on the podcast.
We
but...
can't talk about it.
Okay.
But stay tuned.
Okay,
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
And beware. Beware.
Yeah. So Saw You at Sinai, I would say, is probably the single biggest reason I've had to go to therapy in my life. just again, to put it in a non-dramatic way. I think I first got on the website when I was 21. And then the last time I used it was this past year when I was 26. So it has been traumatizing me for 5 years. But you'll be happy to know that after this past round, I decided never again. For those of you who have never used it, it is like a Orthodox dating website. It's not Orthodox, actually. It's just Jewish.
Yeah, they have various also they have various partners. It's all under one umbrella. Saw You at Sinai. I was on YU Connect because I personally went to YU.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I signed up, they were doing some discount for YU alumni, which is why I did the regular. But it's the same
actually,
database.
I heard from someone. So it used to be free for YU students, but then they started charging students at one point, but didn't tell them that they were getting charged.
Literal gneba.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Which is thievery.
Yeah. I just heard that from
this
someone, and I was like, that doesn't shock me at all.
This organization is the worst. And listen, people have gotten married from it, but you know what? I still believe that those people would have met without this.
A broken clock is still right twice a day.
Yeah, exactly. A 22-year-old blonde, size 0 pretty girl who's dumb is always going to get married. So whether they set her up, a shotgun set her up, or she met some guy at Kiddush, she's always going to get married. But that doesn't mean this works well or is done in the right way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. My own personal experiences with Saw You at Sinai /YU Connects have been extremely negative.
Same.
I find that I've just gotten set up with a lot of guys who aren't really on my level in terms of their career, their academic background, even social ability. I found that a lot of them just kind of have some weird vibes.
Yeah.
And it does kind of
socially off.
Yeah, socially off might be one way of saying it. I think I could agree with that. So it does slowly kind of chip away at your self-esteem if these are the suggestions you're getting regularly, because you're I know I'm a nice normal person. Why are these suggestions kind of so strange and so out of left field? And then the matchmakers will also gaslight you and be oh, he seems like a really nice guy based on the 0 times I've talked to him and the 0 things I actually know about him. But I noticed that he was on the website and you're on the website, so therefore I'm gonna pressure you to go out on this date.
Because you're a woman and you're
Correct.
above the age of 20,
Correct.
so that means you're desperate.
They're this is the best you can do, so buckle up, buttercup. This is it.
Yeah. And they just want to make that dime.
Yeah, and that's part of my gripe that you'll hear about in this story is the fact that this website is for profit. Although the matchmakers don't get paid, so they're just doing this out of the...
No, they only get paid
if
the couple
they...
gets married, because you have to give... It's customary. I feel like we've talked about this before. If somebody sets you up, it's written in the Torah or something that you have to give them a gift, but they put a set dollar amount on it. And you not only have, first of all, you pay monthly dues to the website. So it's not only that you have to pay your monthly dues and that you have to pay a gift to the actual matchmaker, but then you also have to pay a gift to the website. So this is like thousands of dollars. Like, for that money, I could go to Vancouver to see Taylor Swift. Like,
You're so right. And should you go to Vancouver to see Taylor Swift?
yeah, I'm about like,
you should.
at every minor inconvenience, I'm just ready to drop a few $1,000s to go to Vancouver to see Taylor Swift closing night. So,
Yes. I mean, I was lucky enough to also see Taylor Swift, and like it healed something deep inside me. So it's worth every penny. I strongly encourage you to drop all that money and go to Vancouver.
yeah, it's debatable. I probably won't, just because I have a hard time dropping that much money on one thing.
But Taylor Swift.
But it's Taylor Swift.
And also, if it's like one of the final shows, Travis will be there.
No, the final show.
Travis is definitely going to be there.
I want to go to the... I don't even care if I can see.
I mean, everyone's going to be sobbing
Also,
hysterically for
wait,
3 hours. But
I should just tell you, it's $2,000 for an obstructed view.
yeah, and it's worth every penny.
Yeah, I don't even
It's
need to
worth
see
every
I already saw the
penny.
show. I don't need to see it again. I just want to be in the room.
Yeah. It's like in Hamilton, like the room where it happens. Like, you need to be
I just want to be in the room where it happens. But I guess I'll keep you guys posted. But if anybody has Vancouver tickets and they want to bring me, I'll fly
I
to
would
Vancouver.
buy them off. If anyone has Vancouver tickets and want to sell, I'll buy them off you.
Well, it depends how much the price is.
Does it, though?
I don't know.
Or are we just willing to spend anything at this point?
I go back and forth.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Depends how single I am, because something does come before Vancouver, and that's my 31st birthday, so it depends how single I'm feeling, and then I could just be like, oh, all my friends have to pay so much money to have, like, literal children, so, like, I could just spend that money on Taylor Swift.
Wait, can I tell the story from Purim, and you can cut it out if you don't want to have it? So Rachel and I were at one of the same parties this Purim. Feel free to cut this if you don't want this
This
in the podcast.
is good. Mind you guys, I should just clarify, I used to be a much bigger drinker than I am now, and only occasionally do I drink.
Yeah, and
these
also
days.
Purim, it's literally a mitzvah. So
Yeah, also, like, I was with people who just kept handing me tequila.
Yes. Okay, so we were at a party. There was an open bar at this party. The alcohol was free flowing. I was a little tipsy, and then I bump into Rachel, who I think was also maybe a little tipsy. And we didn't know each other that well at that point, but she like gave me a hug, and then she goes, "All my friends are married and have kids, and I'm going to go see Taylor Swift in Europe." And it was just like the best line I've ever heard out of anyone ever. And I was like, yeah, you are. Yes, you're going to see Taylor Swift in Europe. I found it really inspiring, and yeah, power to you, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you. And you know what? I did see Taylor Swift in Europe, and it was like...
Was it incredible?
It was incredible.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah. Maybe if we get to it later, I'll tell my Taylor Swift Vartora from Europe. Maybe towards the end of the episode.
We have a main theme of the episode. We have to weave into things.
Yeah. Maybe you guys will get it later.
Okay.
It's worth the wait.
Yeah, the Devar tour is incredible, so stay tuned. And the little wisdom, the chachma that we're going to drop in this episode is going to blow all your minds. And it's Taylor Swift related as well.
Yeah, so all you Swifties. But
sharp.
even if you're not a Swiftie, you can still appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is wisdom for everyone.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift and Shakespeare both wrote for all humans.
Yeah. And we're just interpreting. We're basically Rashi.
Yeah, that's extremely accurate. Okay, fine. So my Saw You at Sinai story, just to wrap it up. Basically, actually, I didn't even get into the story. I was literally just complaining about Saw You at Sinai. Okay, the story is as follows. I have been very traumatized by Saw You at Sinai. I have not had positive experiences with it. And the last time I tried it was this past year. I paid for a 6-month membership. And by the end of those 6 months, I had made like a vow, like a netter, literally to myself, where I was like, I will never again pay for a subscription to this website because I do not need to pay money to literally have my self-esteem like get beat up.
I agree.
So, however, what I didn't realize is that when your subscription expires, your account doesn't expire. Like your account still exists on the website, and unless you like go in and find this little button to deactivate it, like it's still quote unquote active. I didn't realize that at all, and I didn't notice that for almost like a year. And then I guess a couple of months ago, I get an email that I have a match on the website, and I'm like, oh, that's random because I know I'm not paying for membership anymore. And then I like vaguely remember that you can still get matches, you just can't accept them unless you are a paying member. So I log on just for kicks because I'm like, oh, you never know. Even though I know it's not going to be Saw You at Sinai. I know that for me. And like the guy who was suggested to me, like nothing is like jumping out at me as like, oh, this is crazily on point for me, but he looks like a nice guy. He looks like a normal guy. And like it, under normal circumstances, I would have said yes, but I can see on the website that the only way to accept the match is to start paying for my membership again. And I'm like, no, this isn't going to fly. Like, I said I was never going to pay for it. Like, he's a nice guy, but I'm just going to ignore this. So I close out of the website, log out, and like ignore it. A couple days later, I get a text, and it's like, hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm a connector at Saw You at Sinai. I sent you a match for one of my favorite members. I was wondering if you have a few minutes to talk about him. And I text back, and I'm like, hey, I really appreciate you keeping me in mind and setting me up. However, I want to be really honest with you and let you know I haven't had such positive experiences with Saw You at Sinai in the past, and I'm not interested in paying for a membership at this point, which is the only way that I can accept the match. And then I literally say, no pressure if this is against the rules, but if you want to just pass along my phone number to him, I'm happy to just speak to him directly. Right? Because I'm like, he's a paying member. Like, I've paid membership many times in the past. Yeah. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world to just be like, feel free to send him my contact info, but I don't want to be a paying member right now. And she's like, okay, I'm going to talk to the administrator and I'll let you know. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I literally said, like, whatever is meant to be is meant to be, because I feel so strongly at this point that, like, in dating, we have to protect ourselves and protect our interests. And, like, if there is something, like, whether it's a specific matchmaker, a specific website, even a specific app that we know is, like, hurting us, hurting our self-esteem, is making us not feel like we are these very worthy and deserving people, which we all are, I think it is on each of us to protect ourselves in dating and not engage with that type of system if it's damaging to us. So I felt like very confident, like giving her that, like, you know, if it's meant to be, it will be, because I know that whatever is meant to be for me is not going to involve paying Saw You at Sinai another cent.
Yes.
So after she gets back to me, after like, no, she didn't text me back. She calls me like a few days later. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like, I guess maybe it's like a generational thing, but I'm like, you don't call someone just like out of the blue with no warning, with no heads up.
Agreed.
And it felt very like ambushy. So I didn't pick up the call, but she left me a message and was like, hey, can you call me back? And at that point I was like getting a little annoyed, because I was like, this is kind of a yes or no answer. It's either yes, she's allowed to pass along my number and she did, or no, she's not allowed to, and the only option is to pay for a membership, which I already told her I'm not doing. I felt like her trying to get me on the phone was her almost like trying to make like a sell, like her trying to really push me paying for my membership, paying to renew, which felt like a really like predatory sales tactic. Like, I think one of the things that bothers me the most about Saw You at Sinai is that this is an element of people's lives where we are so vulnerable. It's us finding partners, it's our dating ability, it's you know, the fact that we're looking for marriage partners. And I feel like they're almost taking advantage of that desire by turning this into something that they make money off of.
Yeah, I think that's any shadchan that requires payment up front.
Legit.
I've definitely talked about this before. Like, I don't know. I talk about setting people up. And listen, I've tried to set friends up in the past. If there is somebody who I think is a good match for someone else, I'll try. Or if somebody from the podcast messages me about someone else, I do ask them. I try. Like, I don't expect anything.
Totally.
I'm not being like, oh yeah, here's your invoice for thousands of
dollars. Yeah, I totally agree. I also have spent time trying to set friends up. I've had people go out on dates. Like, nothing's ever gotten serious, but I definitely feel like I've put time in, and you've put time in. And, like, I think that type of thing should be free. Like, I'm just trying to make Exactly. I'm just trying to make connections between people. Like, there's no part of this that should be paid. I understand shadchanis is a halachic thing, and I think that's a separate conversation. That's if the match goes through and someone's getting married. Of course, if that happens to me, I'm happy to monetarily compensate whoever set it up originally.
Yeah.
But to literally just go out on a date, or even just to be kept in someone's mind, I don't think should ever come at a charge. Like, at one time, again, when I was more yeshivish, my parents paid a shadchan, like, a certain amount of money just for me to meet with her, and she never set me up with anyone. And I remember that being such a, like, blow, where if I felt so desperate and so like, oh my gosh, we're at the point where we're like paying matchmakers just for me to meet with them, which, like, again, I was much more religious in those days, so it felt a lot more dire to not be married by 21. But then the fact that she then didn't set me up with anyone, I was like, you're not even providing a service. You're literally just taking people's money, making them feel bad, and that seems really not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the Saw You at Sinai story, she calls me, I ignore the call, and I start to get annoyed because I'm like, this is literally just predatory sales tactics from my perspective. So I text her and I'm like, hey, as I said before, I'm not interested in renewing my account. Thanks for keeping me in mind. And she's like, okay, have a good Shabbos. Which does lead me to believe that the call was about just her trying to really push my membership renewal and not about anything like, oh, I talked to the admin and they said it's fine because we actually care about people meeting. Like, no, it was literally like, I talked to the admin,
No.
we care about getting money from singles in the Jewish community. Like,
Yeah. Like, leave us alone. We only have one income.
literally.
And some of us need to go see Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I just think we should be spending our money on things like Taylor Swift, on things that heal us, not on things like Saw You
Yeah.
at Sinai, which hurt us.
No, but again, it's really predatory. And
Yeah.
we only have one income.
100%.
Stop trying to hit me up for money to get me married. Like, I'd rather be saying, like,
I totally agree.
I got to a point, which is why I canceled my Why You Connects, which is Saw You at Sinai, which is the same thing, that I was like, wow, I would rather be alone forever than keep on having to deal with the platform and the matchmakers on this platform. I got into a fight with a matchmaker. I already talked about that on the podcast. Go listen back to previous episodes.
It's an amazing story. You should all listen to it.
Yeah, and like I got into a fight. I told her off. I told another matchmaker off too. But I was pushed to this point. And like they're providing us services, but they're clearly not. So I'm going to take my money elsewhere. I only have one income and there are much better things I'd rather spend it on.
I totally agree. So the twist in my story is that later that day after I told the Shadchan that I was like, no, thank you, I get a Facebook message from like this unknown unknown number. And I open it and it's like, hey, it's blank from Saw You at Sinai. I hope it's okay that I reached out to you here. They wanted me to jump through a lot of hoops and I thought it would be simpler if I just found you on Facebook and messaged you here. And I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here, sir. So it was the guy who they'd been trying to set me up with. And he told me the craziest thing, which was that he said his membership had expired the day before. And he really felt like they were just trying to push him to pay to renew. And they were like withholding my contact information until he would like do that. So the whole thing just felt really insane for both of us. Like they were both not actually invested in us meeting and maybe, having something good come from that, but literally just from getting us both to pay them like a stupid, like little amount of money. But that does add up if you're doing it every month.
Yeah.
So we chatted a little bit back and forth. Nothing ever really happened with it, but he does seem like a nice guy. And I actually really appreciated that he took that initiative. He reached out and I kind of felt like it was a little like, stick it to the man moment. Like we were like the revolutionaries in the Hunger Games. We were showing President Snow that, if we burn, he burns with us or whatever. Some analogy that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. If only you guys had actually gotten married.
I know. Well, honestly, what happened was we were trying to schedule a phone call for like 3 weeks, which I do feel like is an excessive amount of time to schedule a phone call.
Yeah.
And where we last left off was that he was busy for like a specific reason, like his parents were in town or something like that. And he said he would follow up with me, and I haven't heard from him, but we also don't live in the same state. So I think that's another added factor here. Like if we were both in New York, I think this would already have resolved itself in some way. Like we would have just met and figured it out. Here, I guess there still is an element of a question mark just because we still have never talked or never met. So you know what? If a year from now I'm happily married to this man, do I have to give Shadchanas to that connector? I don't know.
No.
Or do I like give it to Mark Zuckerberg because like Facebook Messenger was really what connected us?
I would say, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because also you don't want to, it's hard because you don't want to mess it up because I think if you don't pay the Shadchan, then it affects your children getting married. I have to ask, I do have friends, basically, they matched on Why You Connect and on Hinge on the same day.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I think they had already, I think I got the full story. Basically, my friend, like, I guess she was going through her likes on Hinge, and she saw that this guy had liked her, and then she got the notification for Saw You at Sinai, or maybe she had already accepted Hinge before. I think maybe she had already accepted Hinge before Saw You at Sinai, and they were already like talking or something. So it was.
Wait, did they get married?
Yeah, they're married.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
But I think they still gave money to Saw You at Sinai, maybe.
Okay,
Just
that's
to
nice
cover
of
their
them.
bases.
Yeah,
But I
better
could be
safe than
wrong.
sorry.
I could be wrong, and I could be totally lying to all of you. I have to ask her again. I don't remember. But, like, it was clear that they started talking on Hinge before.
Okay.
So she, like, denied the request from Saw You at Sinai.
I love that.
And she told him, she's like, we're already on here. Like,
Yeah,
we don't need
that's
to,
so
like,
fair.
do this. But, yeah, now they're married. But, so we'll see. Maybe Allison and this guy, this Facebook Messenger
never know.
dude will be
You
married
never
in
know
a
what
year.
could
I'll keep you guys updated. If they get married, I'll tell you.
That is a good Shiloh, though. If you match on a dating app, do you just not have to pay any Shadchanas?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's kind of great. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, I can't personally see myself matching with anyone on a dating app and marrying them because it's like actual trash. Wait, I just have to tell you something funny that just happened last night.
Okay.
So I'm just like deeply bored with my life. So that's when I like swipe on dating apps. I'm deeply bored with the dating aspect of my life. So I just was swiping on dating apps, and this guy messaged me, and he's like, what are some of your hobbies and interests? And I'm like, I have a podcast, and I hang out with friends, and I watch an excessive amount of TV. Not actually excessive. I do work a lot of hours. And then I was like, oh yeah, and Taylor Swift. So it's basically the podcast and Taylor Swift and watching TV. And I was like, to be really honest, like I work a lot and I'm tired. And then I was like, what about you? And he sends me back this whole long list. And I was like, I am too tired to even read this.
Wait, was anything like a list of hobbies?
Yeah, like a list of hobbies.
Were any of them interesting?
I didn't really
Was it like
read
bullet
it.
points or
It
like
was
an
too
essay?
long. It was like commas. I didn't
What?
really, to be very honest, I didn't read it because once I saw the excessive list, I was like, I'm not interested in this. So I send my friend a text and I'm just like, I need someone who's like tired and like, I need to find the text because it was funny.
Wait, but I have to tell you the craziest thing that this makes me think of, which is the fact that I feel like there's a happy medium where guys need to have some hobbies also. Because literally the most recent 2 dates I went on, both of the guys don't watch TV in their free time.
What
And
do
they don't watch TikTok either. I don't know.
What do they do?
I literally couldn't get a good answer out of either one of them about what they do in their free time. And I was like, if you don't watch TV, we have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, this ends here.
But also, like, this guy's list was excessive. And then I found out why he had such an excessive list.
Yeah.
I was like, so my follow-up question is, what do you do for work?
Okay.
And he's like, I have 2 part-time jobs and I'm interviewing. I'm like, okay, so you're 27 and
Okay.
unemployed.
Okay, fine. So I will say about these 2 guys who don't have hobbies is that one's in med school and one like just graduated law school. But I don't feel like that's an excuse for not having a personality. I think you can be professionally successful and have a lit personality like Rachel.
Yeah, thank you, Allison.
Of course.
Thank you. You're also professionally successful and have a lit personality.
Oh my God, thank you. This means everything to me.
Yeah, this is why girls are just the best.
Yeah, facts.
But yeah, I just like, what do they do?
I couldn't
they
understand.
just,
I kept asking them.
sleep?
And like, I guess they sleep. One of them lives in a different state than his family. So he said he FaceTimes his family a lot, which is a cute answer. But also there still is
No,
more time to do
that's not a
other
cute
things as
answer.
well. Like he doesn't really, I thought that was kind of cute.
I don't listen, I love my family, but like I don't want someone who's like that attached.
Interesting. Well, I thought it was a red flag only because he didn't have anything else. Like, I was like, oh, well, maybe you like to read because I assumed he's like super intellectual, like law school guy. And he was like, yeah, no, I do a lot of like reading and writing for my work, so I don't really want to read in my free time. And I was like, oh, okay, so like you watch TikTok? And he was like, no. And I was like, oh, so you watch TV? He was like, nope, not that either. And I was like, movies? He was like, no. Literally, what is he watching paint dry on a wall? I don't know.
That's so boring. Like, listen, even at my most boring, I'm watching The Real Housewives.
Exactly. Which automatically makes you one of the most interesting people in any room because you have a lot of hot takes.
Yeah, it's lots of drama. Reality TV, like, even when I don't feel like doing anything for the week, when I'm lazy with the podcast, I don't schedule recordings, I don't want to edit, I don't want to hang out with friends, I'll come home and watch, like, lit TV. Like,
yeah. And honestly, we've had this conversation before about reality TV, but it's actually one of the deepest things that people can watch because it's this opportunity to analyze these complex sociological, psychological dynamics of like group work and how people interact as groups and humans and society. And I don't know, it's really deep. That's really all I have to say. It's deep.
yeah, I don't understand what they do.
I couldn't get it either. I have no idea.
Like, when I say I'm not doing anything, I'm watching TV.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm the same.
or watching TikTok.
Right, same.
I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But
And I
whatever.
just was like, if you know, what are we supposed to talk about? Like, if you don't have any hobbies, I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about with you because I don't particularly care about med school or law school. Like, power to you, but like, I didn't do either one of them, so I don't have that niche interest to share with you. So if we can't talk about Real Housewives or Bachelor or Bachelorette, I'm not really sure what's left for us.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I think it's you need to find a happy medium because it's a red flag when you have too many interests and hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I talked to a guy once who just, like, had so many hobbies and he put so much money into all of his hobbies. I'm like, bro.
Were they like cool artistic hobbies though?
It sounded like, I only talked to him a couple times. And this was like, he was living in a different state and like, I don't even remember. But he would take up these like expensive hobbies. Like, he had to buy like equipment I think one of them, his current one that when we were talking, which was years ago at this point, was like paintballing, and he's like,
That's hilarious.
He had to like spend hundreds of dollars on like paintball equipment.
I thought you were gonna say like something art related, which I was like, oh, that's kind of cool though, because they're like making paintball. No. Sorry, I don't have that much respect
art
for
stuff
it.
is fine. Like, listen, I knit.
Yeah.
But that's just more of like a nervous habit, and not a nervous habit. I just need to be doing something while I watch TV.
Honestly, I'm sitting next to something knitted that I think is like a blanket or a scarf, and it's super pretty.
It's the start of a picnic blanket.
Oh, it's lovely.
Thank you. Hopefully, maybe we can sit on it next summer.
I would be very excited for that.
Yeah, next summer.
Okay, we have a year.
Yeah. I only do it sometimes.
We can make this happen.
But, yeah. So, like, I don't know. I just think everyone needs to be the right... Also, I don't know. I like social people. So, like, if you just say, like, on your free time you like to hang out with your friends, like... That's chill with me, too. Yeah. Like, because I do that, like...
As long as, like, you're a cool person and you have cool friends, you know? Because, like, what if they have a bad personality and their friends have bad personalities?
Oh, then it's just not a match.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
But, like, usually I find it a good sign when people have friends.
I totally agree, and I also sometimes encounter guys who don't have friends.
Oh, I've had that, too.
It's very strange. I'm like, what are you doing, sir?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there has literally been psychological studies done that show that, you know, men have a harder time, like, creating social communities for themselves. But I feel like I've actually seen that sometimes. Like, guys I've gone on dates with, I'll be like, oh, yeah, and who are your friends, whatever. And, like, they don't have friends.
Yeah.
Strange.
No, I've had that, too. And I'm also confused because, listen, I'm a very independent person, and, like, I'm fine doing stuff by myself. But I'm also very social.
Yeah.
And I like people. And you don't need to have, like, a ton of friends.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
right, as long as you have, like, a couple normal, nice friends to do activities with, like, that's no problem. You don't need to have a massive group. It's just strange when there's none.
I don't know.
Yeah.
These guys are weird.
Yeah, I agree.
But, yeah. Before we get into your next story, let's take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Sticky Situations is sponsored by Corona Crush. Are you tired of swiping on dating apps? Tired of guessing whether the cute guy or girl you keep seeing around is Jewish and or single? Then you need to run, not walk, to join Corona Crush. Corona Crush is a Jewish organization working to create Jewish couples always. Corona Crush has over 30 confirmed engagements, over 22,000 members from all over the world, and has set up over 50,000 speed dates. Join the Corona Crush Facebook group and post yourself or have a friend post you and see who reaches out. Fill out the survey to sign up for virtual speed dating events happening every other week. Corona Crush is 100% free and 100% Jewish. Worst case, you end up with some stories of your own. Best case, you find the love of your life. Try it out today. Here on Sticky Situations, we tend to focus on bad dating stories, but sometimes dates do go well and lead to proposals and weddings. Who would have thought? And what do all of those require, you might be asking? Well, the answer is flowers. Who doesn't want flowers from someone they've been seeing? Don't forget, flower petals and bouquets needed for proposals. And that's even before all the flowers that go into weddings. Sticky Situations is sponsored by Primrose Flower Shop. In my opinion, Primrose is the coolest flower shop around and has the best customer service to fulfill all of your floral needs. Primrose offers a range of services from your basic bouquets to subscription services where you can get flowers delivered once a week. They deliver all over the tri-state area, including Manhattan. Primrose does weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs, and other simchas. I've personally been to a wedding where Primrose did the flowers, and the work they did was beyond gorgeous. Primrose additionally offers in-store proposals, including a romantic setup with candles and music. Primrose is located at 2922 Avenue M in Brooklyn, and the phone number is 929-376-9815. You can also follow Primrose on Instagram at PrimroseNY. So, if you can't get someone out of your head, buy them some flowers from Primrose. They'll either love it or they'll find you really creepy. But regardless, the flowers will be out of this world.
Okay, we're back. Allison, do you want to tell your next story?
I would love to. I also want to possibly introduce a theme for the episode.
Yes.
Which is the idea of Peter Pans.
Yes.
AKA boys who never want to grow up.
They're lost in the Lost Boy chapter of their lives.
Forgive me, Peter. Please know that I tried.
Yeah. Literally, Allison, well, she doesn't send them back to me. I just send her random lyrics from the song called Peter by Taylor Swift. off of her newest album, Torture Poets Department, like all the time. I just like find lines that resonate because I just listen to it on repeat because I just feel like I wouldn't even call him a guy in my life because I just like don't know if he's actually in my life.
Yeah.
He's just a guy, and I think he's lost in the Lost Boys chapter of his life.
It happens to them.
He didn't tell me that he was gonna come back and come, like, he didn't tell me that he was gonna grow up and come find me, but in my head...
He implied it. Without his words or his actions, but according to our interpretation.
According to the way I interpret the fact that we're probably gonna get married one day...
Yes.
He's gonna grow up and then come find me, when in reality, I may never actually see him ever again.
Envy him.
But, like... Also, I don't know. I don't even know why I said we were going to get married. I think it's just pure boredom. Also, I just like, you know, you meet people and you're like, wow, if this guy would just grow up and come find me, we'd be such a good match.
Yeah.
And
I
like,
totally relate to that.
Yeah. It's just like, we could be so good. I don't know. It's just like we mesh really well. We have good chemistry. And I feel like we have similar values aside from the fact that, again, he's lost in the Lost Boys chapter of his life. But I think everything else just makes sense. And I wouldn't go as far to say that I have any type of feelings for him other than outside of the shtick of it.
But it's a good shtick.
Because it is a really good shtick. I just go around talking about him. Literally nobody knows who he is. So it's the best type of shtick. Because, like, I don't say names and nobody knows. Because apparently, like, I'm really easy to read. But I also apparently can hide things.
Yeah, you can be a woman of mystery when you want to be,
I'm a woman of mystery. So literally nobody knows who this guy is. And even if he's listening, he probably doesn't even know who he is.
Names and identifying details have been changed.
Yeah, well, his name is Peter.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's not his real name, but that's just what we nicknamed him because, again, lost in the Lost Boys chapter of his life. It's just such a good line.
It's incredible. I will just say the lines that Rachel sends me from this song always hit. They always hit. I'm just a bad texter, so I don't always respond, but they're always so wildly on point. It's crazy.
Yeah, wait. I kind of want to read one because I don't remember. But also, I just have to say that the song Peter Sleep was a skip for me.
And then it's like once you start hearing the lyrics, you can't unhear them, and it's insane.
And now
Oh, yeah, I was literally about to say this line. The goddess of timing once found us beguiling. She said she was trying. Peter, was she lying? My ribs get the feeling she did. I saw a TikTok where it was literally
and I didn't want to come down. I thought it was just goodbye for now.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Do you guys understand what that means in English? It just means like the goddess of timing once found us beguiling. It means like
we thought the timing was going to work out.
Yeah,
right. It's like a normal person would be like right person, wrong time. And Taylor Swift is like the goddess of timing once found us beguiling. Yeah. It's crazy.
And then she said she was trying. Peter, was she lying? Like Peter, were you actually going to grow up and come find me?
Literally.
Like, was the timing ever going to work out? My ribs get the feeling she did, meaning I feel it in the pit of my stomach.
Right. Like you literally got like punched in the ribs.
Yeah. And I didn't want to come down. I thought it was just goodbye for now. Like, I still want to live in my state of denial.
Right.
That this wasn't,
There's also like a whole flying thing going on here, like in Peter Pan, where like they can fly together. So I think it's like she's so clearly like Wendy in this song, because they were flying together. She didn't want to come down. She thought it was just temporary. And then at the end of the song, she's like, "Oh my God, what's the part with your the feet on the ground?"
Wait. Okay. Then this is probably the line that hits me the most.
Yeah.
Because, and I won't confess that I waited. Yeah. I let the lamp burn. As the men masqueraded, I hoped you'd return with your feet on the ground. Tell me all that you learned. Because love's never lost when perspective is earned.
Literally so good. I get chills. Every time I hear those lines, I get chills.
Also because I think... Listen, I'm not actually waiting around for Peter to come, and I'll tell everybody this. This is part of my shtick. I'm like, yeah, I think I might marry this guy. I think I'll probably marry this guy. But if somebody better comes along,
right,
I'm not committed.
Oh, yeah, you're not committed at all.
But also...
Marriage is on the table, and it's a definite outcome here, but you're also, like, not that serious.
Yeah, it's not that serious. Like, if I do meet someone good, the problem is I don't. Because, like... I won't tell him that I'm waiting around for him, because technically I'm not, but the men are masquerading. And they're awful.
They really are awful.
And I'm just waiting for him to grow up and come find me.
Yeah, that's so incredibly accurate. Wait, I want to just tip you off on a little game that you can play, because you brought up the possibility that Peter's like a boredom crush, and I think we all have boredom crushes where there's kind of no one more interesting around, and you're like, okay, you know, there are good qualities about this person or a level of chemistry or whatever it is. So it's not really that you're that into them, but you're just bored, so they're your boredom crush.
Yeah.
So at the Great Lawn, there's a game that you can play with friends where if your boredom crush is there, you get 1 point. If you talk to your boredom crush, you get 2 points. If there's a guy you went on a date with there, you get 1 point for every guy that you've dated who's there. And then I think if you talk to the guys that you've been on dates with, you also get like extra points or something. So there is a whole point system.
Oh, wow.
Boredom crushes are part of the system, and I encourage you all to play next time you're at the Great Lawn.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Also, I keep joking to everyone, but also to Allison. I'm like, the next time I see Peter, because I haven't seen him in a long time, I'm like, and I have this all built up in my head that he's going to grow up and come find me.
Oh, I so relate to this.
I'm like, literally, Allison, the next time I see him, I'm going to see him and get such an ick.
Yeah.
And, like, never want to be with him ever again. But you know what? Love's never lost if perspective is earned.
Love's never lost if perspective is earned. He's going to return and his feet are going to be on the ground.
I hope.
He's going to return, his feet will be on the ground. Wait, oh my God. I don't want to just keep talking about lyrics, but you know the part where it's like, the jet streams, whatever. Oh, I can't remember.
Oh, crossing your jet stream?
Yeah,
Hold
where
on.
it's like, oh my God.
I'll look it up.
Those lyrics also, because it's like, I just imagine like when you're lonely at night and you're thinking about this person and you're wondering like how your paths could cross.
Oh, yeah. And sometime it gets me when crossing your jet stream,
streams.
we both did the best we could do underneath the same moon.
In different galaxies. Underneath the same moon in different galaxies. Insane.
Which is also crazy because I keep telling myself / my friends, like, don't worry, Peter, if you're listening and you know who you are, like, I don't talk about you to everyone, and even if I do, they don't know who you are. No, I'm really not that obsessed with you. It's mostly just the shtick, and I'm so bored, but also if you want to grow up and come find me, you totally can. I might get the ick, but I probably won't. Like, I don't know. But I always said that this guy gives such invisible string theory vibes.
Yes, totally.
Which, that makes that line so crazy.
Right, there's all these little hidden connections of your paths prior to actually crossing.
But it's so crazy because what if there is the invisible string?
Your jet streams have been crossing.
But it's in different galaxies.
Oh, God.
In different galaxies.
Underneath the same moon, but different galaxies. Wait, you're so right. You're so right.
It could be the invisible string theory. Like, yeah, there's the invisible strings, but that doesn't mean anything.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Oh, wow.
That was incredible.
Wow. We're getting really deep here.
I know. I really like that, honestly.
But going at a much more basic level understanding of things, like, I just think a lot of guys in the religious world have this, like, Peter Pan syndrome.
Yes.
And I don't know where it stems from. I don't know. I've seen it a lot with guys who grow up more religious, more yeshivish, and then decide to become modern.
Yes.
And they just, like, don't want to grow up.
Yeah. I don't know, right? Maybe it's like that stilted teenager inside them that didn't get to do all the rebellious things when they were actually teenagers. So they're trying to do it all now in their 20s or 30s or even later.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what it is, but I definitely have noticed it as well.
Like these, like, guys in their 30s who, like, live in our community and they just want to hook up.
Yeah.
They're not, like, actually...
Why
like,
is it that I've literally met guys in their 30s who aren't capable of serious relationships? Like, what are they waiting for? Because their hairline is going bye-bye.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I'm like, I don't know which is going to happen faster. You'll figure out how to commit or you'll go bald completely. Like, it's one or the other.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I just think there's this overarching theme in like, it could be in the world in general. It could be New York City. I don't know, because I only date in the modern Orthodox community, pretty much. So I just have noticed it. Like, yeah, I'm not making a generalization, but I think the guys who did grow up with more religious backgrounds just aren't ready to settle down. Like, they still feel like they need to sow their wild oats, or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah, but that's crazy.
Which is crazy.
That's crazy.
It's like, I don't know, like,
I also do feel like Sex and the City's taxi cab theory might be relevant to this conversation, which is this concept where with a taxi cab, like, the light goes on and then they'll just pick up whoever's the first passenger that flags them down. And the idea is that it's kind of similar with guys where they're not ready, not ready, not ready, not ready. And then kind of their metaphorical light goes on, meaning they are suddenly ready for a relationship. And then the first kind of nice, normal girl who meets their general criteria that they date after that is the girl that they're going to marry. Whereas for girls, I think we're pretty ready from a much earlier age. And it's a lot more about like who the person is and less about timing. I've heard the phrase, for women, it's the right person, and for men, it's the right time. And I think that there's an element of truth to it. I don't think it's like a total binary black and white, whatever. Obviously, guys are also looking for personality connections, but I definitely think I've met guys, at least one, who I have a good connection with, but it's so clearly the wrong time for them to be in any kind of relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's Peter Pan syndrome.
It's Peter Pan syndrome. They're just never going to grow up. We're Wendy. We're sitting by the window watching the lamp burn, and Peter is just never putting his feet on the ground.
Yeah, he's lost to the Lost Boys chapter of his life.
Forgive me, Peter. Please know that I tried.
To hold on
to the days
when you were mine.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It just hits every single time.
Guys, when I tell you that this song used to be a skip for me.
Oh, it's so good.
Whatever you're doing right now, you love Taylor, you hate Taylor, like whatever your relationship is to Taylor Swift, go look up the song Peter by Taylor Swift. Mm-hmm. And
really listen to the lyrics.
Look at it with the lyrics. Even if you don't want to listen to the song, just read the lyrics.
I totally agree. If you've ever once had the experience of right person, wrong time, really just listen to the lyrics and see if they hit.
Or like you think you find someone, but they're just not ready to commit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like and it can go the other way too. Like I think there are far fewer girls who are in that Peter Pan stage, but there definitely are some.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, I'm sure the reverse could happen, where a guy meets a girl that he's really into, and then, you know, whatever personal thing in the girl's life could mean she's not ready yet.
Yeah. But it's just crazy.
It's insane.
It's crazy. Listen, Peter, if you're listening, go listen to the song.
Shout out to all the Peters.
Shout out to all the Peters. But also know that I'm not actually obsessed with you, but like
But you would get like a couple points if you saw him at the Great Lawn on Shabbos. Boredom crush, talk to him. Okay, you would get at least 2 points.
Yeah.
We could make up some more.
We kind of went out on a date once.
3 points.
Maybe. I'm going to count it as half a point.
Okay, 2.5 points.
I won't get into the details.
We got to protect Peter's anonymity.
And I doubt it. Like, first of all, I doubt he's listening, but also I doubt he's, like, going to even realize it's him.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You definitely didn't say anything, even close to identifying.
Yeah, also, like, Peter, just know, like, I'm not in love with you or anything. I just, like, think there's a lot of invisible strings tying you to me, and I'm waiting for you to grow up and come find me.
Yeah, that's so fair.
But also, like, I might find someone better first, so.
That could also happen.
Yeah.
So I have another story for you.
Okay.
And I've never told you this one before, but I think you're going to like it. This is a little surprise story for Rachel.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
So it turns out that Saw You at Sinai isn't the only dating system that sucks.
Oh, they all suck.
So this next story is about Hinge. Shout out to Hinge. And I will say I've gone on some normal dates from Hinge. I've definitely talked to a lot of strange people through Hinge. And I will let you decide which one this story is about.
Wait, I just have to say about Hinge, I think the quality of Hinge has gone down significantly. Also,
since when? Since like COVID maybe?
No, because I've met good guys. I would say in the last like year or two, the quality has gone down because I think they're also just trying to get your money.
Oh, for sure.
So they're just like trying to give you hideous people. So you
definitely they're gatekeeping the good-looking people
or like the compatible people. Like not even like not to be like so
right. The like, guys who you could be a good match with.
Yeah.
Wait, so this is the hack. If they're in your, like, Rose jail prison,
you have to
X them out. Exactly.
But wait, can I tell you something crazy for a second that just relates to Hinge to Peter? I was with a friend a couple weeks ago, and we're just like, let's go through our Hinge graveyards.
Okay.
Guess who's in my Hinge graveyard?
Peter?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Did you talk with him at all?
No.
Oh, you matched and then never talked.
Basically, I think what happened was, it was at some point when I wasn't looking at any of my matches and I took a break.
Okay.
And then just one day I was like bored and swiped through all of them.
Right.
And like he could have liked me months and months before.
Yes.
So then by the time I accepted it, it was like
Yeah,
Who
like he
knows?
could have been in a different situation.
But
right.
he was there. He's there.
That's crazy.
I have to take a screenshot before he listens to this and
Proof, but
yeah, I need proof. I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna show this to him in the Yichud room. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to pay anyone shulchanos because Hinged made this happen.
Yeah. Well, actually, we met in natural ways.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm not gonna give it away. How
So
we met.
no Hinged. Okay.
No, nobody gets shulchanos here.
But that is a crazy invisible string. You can add that to the list for sure.
Yeah. No.
That's nuts.
I totally forgot because I think I was in such like a weird state of mind when I found that. I think I just told the two friends that were there, and then I think I forgot about it again because my brain.
It actually is crazy.
Because my brain can't actually process
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That he's in my Hinge graveyard.
Wow.
But I'm not gonna mess it.
Wait, but how crazy if you just message him? Just be like, LOL, I just saw this or something.
I don't
Just
know.
make it seem really natural, like so
no,
casual.
I feel like that's so weird because
You're right.
like
It is weird. You should not listen to
because
me.
like we're also kind of friends.
You're right. You're
like
right. You're right.
like
you're right.
it's Peter Pan, but it's also like so weird. It would be weird to message.
Oh my
him on
god,
Hinge.
once I know a girl who like kind of had like a situationship going on with a guy, and it was very situationshipy, like very not defined, whatever. And as usual, I think like the girl was kind of emotionally invested and the guy wasn't. And he came across her Hinge. She was like swiping on Hinge and he showed up on her Hinge. And she thought it would be funny to swipe on him to give him a like, but in the comment, write, I love you. And
oh
she
my
was like,
God.
this is just going to prove to him like how LOL and casual this all is. And then I think I don't know. I think just 5 minutes later, she ended up deleting her entire profile because she was so embarrassed.
Oh my god. I'm gonna screenshot my graveyard right now.
So if you want to write to Peter now through Hinge and be like, I love you, like, it's been done before. You could be the next.
I could. I don't think I love him
That's fair.
yet.
Right. Well, it takes time. You know, you'll build up to the point of love and marriage.
I would say we're like mildly kind of ish friends.
Okay.
Friendly.
I like this as a starting point.
We're more than acquaintances, but less than friends.
Okay.
But we're gonna get married probably.
Yeah, most likely.
Unless I find someone better.
Most likely, for sure.
And he never grows up. But I'm screenshotting this now before I forget.
Yeah, as you must. As you should.
So I can show him in the Yichud room.
Good.
Okay. Sorry.
No,
that
that
was
was
a total sidetrack, but I want
Great
to hear.
sidetrack. I loved it. So my Hinge story is as follows. I got a like from a guy, as all Hinge stories start, or sometimes you like them, and I accepted it. And I remember like looking at his profile and being like, interesting. Like he doesn't really have a Jewish name and he doesn't really look religious in any of his photos, but straight out in one of his prompts, he said something like, I think it was like my simple pleasures. It was like Shabbat was his answer. So I was like, okay. And I personally do keep Shabbat and I'm looking for similar or the same when it comes to dating. So I accepted the like. And I was chatting with him and it was like very, very preliminary because I couldn't really like figure out his vibe. Like he didn't really look religious, like he didn't have a religious name. And again, I am looking specifically to date religious. So I was trying to kind of suss the vibes because I feel like when someone is religious, like it's usually just a lot easier to like kind of read them more quickly because they come from a similar community, maybe you even have mutual friends with them. That type of thing. Whereas this guy like didn't live in the community, didn't really strike me as religious like looking, which definitely doesn't mean he's not religious.
But I feel like when you're on Hinge, if you're religious, you try to make it known that you're religious.
Exactly. So he had said that one thing about like Shabbat as one of his prompts, but beyond that, like nothing. So I remember like I was trying to suss the vibe and I'm like, hey, like, how are you? Whatever. And then pretty quickly, I think I get to the point of being like, oh, like just wondering, like, do you keep Shabbat and kosher? Like I do. And I'm looking for the same when it comes to dating. And he was like, yeah, I do. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, did you grow up religious? And he was like, nope, I just became religious in the past year. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like, what made that happen? And he was like, I met some really cool religious people. And I'm like, okay, like, this guy seems kind of cool. Like, maybe a little bit different. I kind of thought the fact that he didn't look that religious was maybe working to his advantage. I thought some of his photos, like, had the potential to maybe be cute in person, possibly. It was all very, like, kind of question mark, but he hadn't said anything crazy yet. But it was, like, super, super preliminary. And I was like, okay, like, I feel like I'm still not 100%, like, catching his vibe, so I'm going to try and Google him. And I only had a first name to go off of, but also he had listed who his employer was. So I was like, first name plus employer, like, I can maybe find something here. So I'm looking and looking and looking, and I'm putting in his exact job title as he has it listed in Hinge, and literally nothing is coming up. So finally, I think I got rid of the job title. I just had his first name plus the company that he worked for, no job title at all. And and finally he comes up, but he's not like the job title that he said he was. He was like a much more lowly job.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I don't know, I'll give an example. Like, if he said he was like, I don't know, like manager of sporting events at like a thing, and then he was like actually like ice rink supervisor. Like, it was like that level of like saying he was one thing, but then actual job according to the internet was something much more kind of like basic and entry level. So I'm like, okay, like a little bit strange that he kind of misrepresented himself. But now I have his first and last name. So I'm like, I'm just going to Google him regular now and see just like, you know, is, you know, anything to see about him? Like, again, he's not from the community. So I feel like anytime it's someone kind of a step out of my community, I want to do a little more due diligence, like before talking to them or agreeing to meet them in any way.
Yeah.
So I Google his name, like expecting innocuous stuff, you know, maybe like high school, maybe where I went to college, like maybe a Facebook profile. And this is the second result. I pulled it up on my way here. I just want to say for the record that I made a Twitter account to be able to see this post.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm going to redact the name and the curse word.
Oh my gosh, I'm so scared.
Okay. This is a post by a guy, not him, but about him. And the guy says, if you're ever contacted by a man named blank, tell him to go blank himself. He's the guy who stole all the money from my sports team and scammed insert name of other sports team here.
Oh my
Literally
gosh.
the second hit when I Googled him. Yes, literally the second hit of Googling him is this. And this is all fully findable on the internet, but I still don't want us to get sued for defamation, so I will.
Oh my gosh.
I will not say any details, but apparently this guy has stolen people's money.
And this is what he looks like?
Yes. And that was
cute.
literally
He's
so that was
cute.
the thing. I was like, okay, like could be cute, could be a thing, whatever.
But
that was
he's
literally
literally
and
a
that was
scammer.
literally the picture he had on Hinge, FYI. So it was
he's a
no
scammer.
doubt in my mind. It was so funny, yeah. So the picture the guy posted on Twitter and his like Hinge profile picture were one and the same. So it was very, very clear to me.
Like it was this guy.
Yeah. So this man is literally a scammer. I basically almost got Tinder swindled.
Yeah, the
Essentially.
Tinder swindler.
Yeah, so that almost happened to me.
That's crazy.
Not that I mean, he definitely wasn't like asking for my Venmo, but it was just also super preliminary. I just found it to be comical that like I
No, that's
Googled this man
so funny.
and I didn't even dig. This was not a deep dive. This is the second hit when you Google his name.
Oh my
It's like
gosh.
this guy is a like bleep 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 who stole our money. Like
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So I was like, this is really weird. And then I basically just let the conversation fizzle out. Or like maybe it wasn't even that deep. Like I think like when I Googled him, maybe I had even been the last person to talk, and then he never responded to me. It wasn't like I came back and was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
He just basically like he ghosted or whatever. Like we hadn't been talking that much, and he just ghosts, and I'm like, okay, that's clearly for the best because this man is a literal con artist. So then I have an update as of last week, which
my
is
gosh.
that he requested to connect with me on Loop. Meaning he wants me
Oh.
to set him up with other people. I'm like,
Yeah.
sir, you ghosted me 1 year ago on Hinge and you're a con artist. Like, I don't know.
that's crazy.
Like, and it's not like we know each other. We probably exchanged 5 messages on Hinge. He
That's
ghosted.
so crazy.
And then to come back a year later and be like, let's connect on Loop is insane.
No, the requests that I get from people. First of all, that story is insane.
Oh, yeah. I thought you would
That's
love it.
so crazy.
I thought you would love this story.
Oh my god. No, that's crazy. But also, like, can we just talk for a second about, like, these random boys that you've talked to, like, at some point in life coming out of the woodwork and requesting
so
to
weird.
connect on Loop?
It's so weird.
Like,
This
it's
was
so
the second time it
weird.
happened where it was a guy I'd matched with on the dating app who ghosted me. Like, it wasn't like we had a formal, like, oh, like, I don't think this is a match or whatever. It was like, they literally just ghosted me and then requested me on Loop. Like, I'm going to set them up with other people? Like, no.
Yeah. Or, like, guys that I went out with.
that's
like,
weird.
we went on a couple dates
Yeah.
or whatever. They request me on Loop, and I'm like, no. This guy, I can't remember if I've talked about this already or not. I definitely told the original OG story because this was like a couple summers ago, where I had my pet boy summer and I talked about Horse Guy, and he just, first of all, we had like a fleeting like few days of like talking, like it was a whirlwind romance.
Okay.
That ended very suddenly.
Okay.
He ended it. Like,
Okay.
nothing actually happened. We just had like
Wait, did you go out or was it just talking?
no, because he wasn't living in New York.
Okay.
So, just to recap, for those of you who like, whatever, go back and listen to my episodes from like 2 summers ago, because they're funny. But I met this guy, and we had a few really good video calls. Like, our first video call was like 4 hours.
Wow. That's
like, we
impressive.
had to take a bathroom break in the middle.
That's really impressive.
Like, at some point, he was like, I want to keep talking to you, but I have to go to the bathroom. Can we meet back in 10 minutes? And we did. We, like, went to the bathroom and got snacks. Like,
wow. Honestly, to have that level of chemistry over just a video call
know.
or not even, like, in person, do an activity, eating food, like, that's very cool.
Yeah, and then he was like, this is, like, on Thursday night, and he basically, he doesn't live in New York, but he was like, oh, I'm going to be in New York for work in, like, a week or two, like, let's keep talking, and I want to take you on a real date when I come to New York.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. Then I think we were talking on a Thursday night. That was our 4-hour phone call. And then Friday, he's like, I just want to, like hear your voice before Shabbos. Like,
oh my God, that's
we
so
talked for, like,
romantic.
a few minutes, and I was like,
Wow.
oh,
okay.
like, we're gonna go out on a date in 2 weeks. Like,
yeah, that's
wow.
100% the energy he was giving.
Yeah. And then I didn't hear from him Saturday night, so I was like, uh-oh, that's your first sign. And then
Right.
I texted him. I was like, hey, how was your Shabbos? Like, whatever. And then I get this whole paragraph on Sunday morning.
Oh,
like,
that's the absolute worst feeling when they don't text and you're like, shoot.
yeah. And also, like, we hadn't met in person. Like,
Yeah.
like, we had like a
That
video
is
call.
weird, right? Like, wait, so why would he even send a whole paragraph? I don't know.
No,
That's
he sent a
strange.
whole paragraph. He's like, I don't think I'm what you're looking for and all
What?
of this. I'm like,
I feel like that was all based on not a lot of information.
Yeah, I'm like,
'cause you
bro,
never met in person.
we never met in person. We talked, like, okay, 4 hours is a long time to talk, but, like, I could talk about nothing for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was just very random, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to beg someone to be with me.
Yeah.
Like, even, like, that's just not who I am.
Did he give any, like, specifics, or he just was said a general,
No,
like, I don't
it
think I'm
was-
what you're looking for?
Yeah, it was more general, and I think
That's weird.
I think I was with my friend, she was like, I think you can ask him to, like, explain a little bit, because it was just so
well, it's just not
random.
You hadn't even met in person. That I feel like is one of the
Yeah.
weirdest parts in my
But
opinion.
it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
this was a couple years, like, okay, like, I was a little bit bummed, but, like,
For sure.
because, like, I don't
Because
know.
anytime there's like a level of chemistry, it is exciting.
Yeah,
for
it is
sure.
exciting when there's chemistry.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, like, we had 2 phone calls. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't, like, that deep or anything. We texted a bunch. But again, it wasn't that deep. We hadn't met in person. This spanned over 4 days.
Okay.
Like, this
But it was
wasn't...
a whirlwind. It was a whirlwind
I
4
call
days.
it a whirlwind romance.
As you should.
But yeah, so then, like, at this point, it's a couple months ago. He's still sitting in my request.
Oh,
But
I
then he
literally
just, like,
straight
asked
up
to follow me
declined.
on Loop.
I straight up declined the con man from Hinge. I was like, I'm not letting you into my loop.
No.
And my thinking is, like, when someone's in your loop, it means that you can vouch for them and you would want to
Yeah.
set them up with your friends. And guys who have ghosted me, I don't want to set up with my friends. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
that's good, mature dating behavior. And also, guys who have scammed people out of money, I don't want to set
Yeah,
up with my
definitely
friends.
not. Or guys who just, like, change their mind without any explanation.
Yeah, I agree.
After, like...
right, this is all, like, the guys who are in my loop, I hope for the most part are guys that I feel confident
Yeah.
in being able to set
Because
my
I know my friends are looking at the guys in my loop to, like, go out with or
totally.
whatever. And I just, like, I don't need random guys who I, like, talked to for 4 days.
Yeah.
Or went on... Oh my God, Monument in the Park guy. Okay, everyone, I'm not going to retell the story, but go listen to, not my first episode, I think it was episode number 2 for Monument in the Park guy. He requested me.
Oh my God.
That was probably one of the worst dates I've been on in the last, like, 3 years. Like, not my worst date ever, but, like, one of the worst dates I've been on in the last 3 years. He requested to connect on Loop. Like,
Unbelievable.
like, bro.
The chutzpah of
Also,
men
I
is
think
not
he
to be
ghosted
believed.
me. Or we ghosted each other. Like, that was such a bad date. Like, I just don't understand. Like, why do you want to connect with me on Loop? I will literally never set you up with anyone.
Yeah, it's so
If
weird.
anyone wants to be set up with you, I will tell them no.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my God, I forgot that Monument in the Park guy.
Okay, I need to listen to that episode.
Yeah, go listen. Guys, this is literally my second episode. I talk about Monument in the Park guy. Oh gosh. Yeah.
That's
That was also
insane.
2 summers ago. Wow, 2 summers ago. I really...
Whirlwind summer.
Whirlwind
I
summer.
keep looking. I'm still on the lookout for my summer fling this summer. So, if any of you out there are listening and want to be my summer fling, I'm on the prowl.
Yeah, well, by the time you guys listen to this, it'll probably already be like...
By the time
Deep
this
into
episode
cuffing
airs,
season.
oh my God, cuffing season. I'm not ready. By the time this episode airs, hopefully I'll have already had a great summer fling.
Yeah, we still have a month left.
We're good. Actually, 2 months because we're doing summer in September.
Yeah, we're doing summer in September. We're stretching it because, like, we have real jobs where we don't get summer break. So, like, we're
Yeah.
just doing summer until it gets cold.
Unfortunately.
I have no
That's-
summer perks in life, so...
Summer Fridays?
No, I don't have summer Fridays.
Dang.
So we're doing, literally, it's just summer until it gets cold.
Okay.
We're going to the beach until it's too cold to go to the beach.
Yes, absolutely.
But Okay, Allison, do you have any more stories that you would like to share?
Okay, I have one final story that I guess I'll end off with. I feel like it's a wild one.
Oh boy.
I wish it fit better with the Peter theme, but I'm sure we can figure out a way to tie it together. It happened about 2 years ago, so right after I moved to New York from Israel. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning, I grew up like a little more religious in some ways, and I went to non-co-ed schools, like all girl schools, my whole life. So the idea of kind of co-ed friendships, like having guys as friends, is something that is a little bit like novel to me as I've, entered my 20s and started living independently in apartments in singles communities. That has been like something new. And I don't know where do you stand on like male-female friendships? Just broadly, I guess. Like, have you seen the movie When Harry Met Sally?
Yeah. I think it's good to have people that you can talk to of opposite gender. First of all, I always think it's good to have casual friends because
I agree with that also,
like
for
people,
sure.
people you talk to in school, people you
Right, like acquaintances, or
no,
one step
even,
more
like,
than acquaintances
that you have Shabbat meals with. I would even go as far as to say like I think it's good to have like a couple people like if you need boy advice to ask an actual boy. But I think there are definitely boundaries you have to set.
Yeah.
Like if you're not getting married, like you shouldn't be best friends with anyone of the opposite gender.
I think I very much agree with everything you've said.
Like I don't know. I just find it a big red flag in a guy if like, first of all of his friends are girls. That's a red flag.
Yep.
But it's also like
one of the Peter Pan guys who I met in their 30s in this community who is still not ready for a serious relationship. All his friends are girls.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Red flag.
But like, I don't know, like I have a couple guy friends that like I could talk to on the phone if I needed advice about something. But like I don't think I have guy friends that I'm just calling to catch up with.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Yeah. I think talking on the phone, it could be because I hate talking on the phone. I just think there's a level of intimacy in talking on the phone.
Interesting.
That like,
yeah.
I think also
I feel like female friendships are so meaningful and rich and like provide me with so much emotional connection. Yeah. It's like I don't think a guy is going to give me that unless it is in the context of a romantic relationship. Otherwise, like why do I have that like almost intimacy?
Yeah. Like I do have guy friends. Yeah. I just think my closer guy friends are not at the same level of friendship as my closer girlfriends.
That is fair. That's fair. Yeah, I would say that most of, so basically this was something that I had to figure out for myself because the concept of, male-female friendship was something that was relatively new to me because it wasn't something I grew up with or even had, in my teens or in college. It was really something new for living independent in my 20s. So when I moved back to New York, this is a pretty, I guess, co-ed community. There definitely are a lot of guys around and a lot of girls around. And there's for sure that acquaintance and kind of casual friend and even serious friendship that can, be not just one, not just with girls or just with guys. It can kind of cross that divide. So a guy, right after I first moved here, I met a guy kind of in passing, and he started being really friendly to me. And I was new to the community, and I was definitely looking for friendships and Shabbos meals to go to and things like that. And when he started being so friendly to me, I was a little bit unsure if it was a dating vibe, which I wasn't so interested in, or if it was just very platonic. This guy happens to have grown up a lot more modern. He went to co-ed schools his whole life. So I kind of assumed it's just more natural for him to have female friends, and it's not as quote unquote big a deal as it is in my mind, having grown up in only single gendered environments. So he starts being friendly to me, and I'm kind of being a little bit distant because again, I'm not sure what his intentions are, if this is platonic, if he's interested in going on a date. But he is inviting me to things. He invites me to a Shabbat meal. He invites me to hang out with his friends in the afternoon. And I'm going to these things. I think I wasn't able to go to the Shabbat meal, so I ended up stopping by in the afternoon. And then he invites me to a party that they're having on that Saturday night. So I go Saturday night to the party. And at the party, this other guy who I'd met in passing says, "Oh, there's, fill in the guy's name here, and his girlfriend." And I'm like, oh, he has a girlfriend. So this is just 100% platonic. Like, he just enjoys the fact that we have certain interests in common, which we did. Like, there were certain things that we talked about that we both found to be, you know, of interest. And he's just a really friendly guy who it isn't a big deal for him to be friends with a girl. Like, this is so cool. Like, no big deal. I'll have a friend who's a guy. I love it. So I see him and this girl who's been pointed out as being his girlfriend at the party. They actually had a whole cute backstory that I don't want to go into because I'm worried it might be an identifying detail, so scratch that. So I continue to be friendly with this guy, and he continues to be friendly with me, and he keeps like trying to invite me to stuff, and then eventually like I was able to go to like a Shabbat meal that he was hosting, so I went to the Shabbat meal. I think it was maybe like the week after the party, and after the Shabbat meal, I'm just like hanging out, you know, at his apartment. There's other people around. It's like a Shabbos afternoon chill. And then he turns to me and he's like, do you want to go on a walk? Which was like a little like interesting because like we were in a room full of people and everyone was kind of like vibing. So I wasn't sure why he like wanted to go on a one-on-one walk, but it was also getting late in the day. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, if you want to go on a walk, maybe you can just walk me back to my apartment. Like I should probably head home soon anyways. Cause like, I was like, maybe he just wants to get out, stretch his legs, whatever. So we're walking home and he kind of like starts to like, I don't know, ask me, I felt like the conversation took a more personal turn. And I was like, this is interesting because he has a girlfriend, very interesting. And then we get to my building and I'm like, okay, like I think I'm going to go inside now. And he's like, oh, actually, before you do, I was just wondering, are you dating anyone? And I'm like, oh, I'm not dating on anyone. Like, if you have anyone to set me up with, like, I'm definitely, you know, open to suggestions. Because he's, like, a guy in the community. I'm sure he has friends, hopefully, around his age. You know, it doesn't hurt to, like, ask people to keep you in mind. And then he's like, yeah, actually, I did have someone I wanted to set you up with. And then he was like, me. And I was like, what? Like in a movie when, I don't know if there's like the big, like, not like drum roll, but like the crash of cymbals or whatever is the thing to like signify that this is like a dramatic moment. I'm just like, don't you have a girlfriend? Because also when I had heard he had a girlfriend, it was like the week right before this. Like it wasn't like it was a long time before this. It was literally the week before at a party at his apartment. And he was like, oh. And he was like, yeah, actually, we just broke up. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, when'd you break up? And he was like, yeah, it was a couple days ago. And I'm like, huh, okay, so how long were you dating for? Because I'm like, maybe this was like super short term and unserious and whatever. And he's like, yeah, you know, we were dating for like a year and a half. And I was like, oh. And he broke up like 2 days ago. And also, I guess a key detail is that I thought he was a nice guy, but I wasn't romantically interested in him. So I had been very much been viewing this through a platonic lens the whole time, like which had been very reinforced upon finding out that he had a girlfriend. So I was like super, super, super caught off guard by him asking me out because I didn't think that he was single. And I just found this whole conversation to be like so awkward and cringe and whatever. And finally I was like, yeah, like you're such a great guy. Like you're so nice. You're so sweet. You have so much to offer. And I was like, I'm just going to go inside and like, let's keep in touch and like be friends and whatever. Cause I felt really put on the spot, very, very caught off guard and very like confused by the whole situation. So I go inside and I'm like, oh my God, like what even was that? That was the most awkward conversation of all time. Like it's going to be so cringe when we see each other from now on. And then I get a voice note from him after Shabbos and I'm like, oh my God, like this voice note was probably him apologizing because this was like the most awkward thing that's ever happened. Like I'll just tell him like, it's fine. We can just move on and like pretend that it happened. And the voice note was literally him being like, hey, I was wondering if you want to go swing dancing tomorrow. Like, there's this really cool, like, swing dancing club downtown that I like to go to. And I was like, what is happening? Like, we clearly read that situation so differently. / I also probably did a terrible job, like, telling him no. But in my mind, I thought I was super firm, but I don't think I actually was. So I just felt really uncomfortable from the whole situation, like, from start to finish, because I definitely had been friendly back to him, but it was while he had a girlfriend, so I thought it was fully platonic, so I didn't think that anything could be misinterpreted, and then I felt like things were misinterpreted. So I felt really cringed out by the whole situation, so I decided to do the mature thing and just simply never respond to him. Obviously, that's not mature and not a best practice, but I think I felt overwhelmed and not really sure what to do, and I just kind of didn't want to like fan the flames of this any longer because I knew I wasn't interested. So I didn't respond to him. And then again, this was like 2 years ago. It was right after I'd moved back. I think it was like a couple months later, like 3 or 4 months later, I run into one of these guys' roommates, like at the Great Lawn where all the drama happens. And I'm asking this guy about the apartment. What's up with the apartment? He's like, yeah, we're looking for a new roommate. And I'm like, oh, why are you looking for a new roommate? And he's like, oh, because that guy just got engaged to his girlfriend. And I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, I guess he got back together with a girlfriend, which power to both of them. But there's a part of me that wonders, like, did I just send him back into her arms? Because I literally ghosted him. Like, he was like, I want to be back on the scene. I want to be a man around town and, like, shoot my shot and sow my wild oats. I guess maybe he was trying to be a Peter and sow his wild oats.
Yeah.
And then he literally got ghosted. So I wonder if it was a sobering reminder of the fact that, you know, even if you're flying around with your lost boys, it's not always that fun.
Yeah. And he's just like, oh no.
The dating's, yeah. Like,
I'm not actually
maybe
lost.
it was just one good rejection that just sent him
right back.
Sent him right back to where he belonged.
Yeah, send him out of Neverland.
But when I tell you my jaw dropped, because it was a pretty quick turnaround. I think it was like 3 months after he'd asked me out, they were engaged. And I was
That's
like,
crazy.
Wow.
Literally, so, I mean, they could have broken up for literally 2 days.
Correct. Yeah, I have no idea how long they were broken up for. It might have been super, super short term and like very like
I
temporary.
think they should pay you shidchanas.
I think they should as well, because I did my part here. I sent him back into her arms by simply never responding, and I think they owe me.
Yeah. They're happily married.
Yes, they're happily married.
Of you.
I know. No, I heard they got married. Everything is good with in that regard, as far as I know. I don't even think they're in this community anymore, but it was crazy. That was like 2 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, insane.
Wow. See, Allison.
Yeah, sometimes I guess Peters do grow up.
Yeah. Or I don't think he was a Peter. I think he was trying to be a Peter.
And he was like, actually,
And then he's
wait,
like,
this
actually,
sucks.
this isn't fun.
Correct.
I don't want to be a
He
lost
literally
boy.
asks the girl out. She ghosts him, and then he's like, actually, wait, maybe what I had wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Like, let me go back to being a real person.
Literally. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's my story. That's my little Peter story.
Wow.
And to all the Peters who are listening, please grow up, because there's some really nice Wendy's that are sitting by the window waiting for you.
And they're not going to be waiting.
They're not going to be waiting forever. The Wendy's have their DMs open.
Yeah.
So
And if you're
you
not a
better
Peter,
get your act together, because the Wendy's are not going to be sitting watching the lamp burn forever.
and if you're not a Peter, this is your time.
Correct. Slide, slide, slide.
Slide, slide, slide. But yeah, okay, Allison, is there before we get into the wrap-up segments, is there anything else that you wanted to share?
I don't think so. This has been a pleasure.
I know, this is so fun. Okay, Allison, can you give me and my guests one piece of dating advice?
Okay, this is something I was talking about with my roommate, and it's the idea that when you're about to turn a corner, you could be really, really close to something, but you still can't see it and don't know that it's on the other side, and kind of the concept that we don't know when good things are going to enter our life, and it could happen really suddenly and in a really good way. So I am single right now, but I feel like we do never know when kind of that right person for us could enter the scene. Like, you know, when you're about to turn a corner, you could be so close to it, but you still can't see it, and you're like, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? Then you turn the corner and you're like, oh, it was literally right there. It was 5 feet away the whole time.
Wait, okay. I know we're in the wrap-up segment,
Yeah.
but I just that ties so well into my Taylor Swift Vartora.
Oh my
and
God,
I think-
say the Vartora.
I
It's
think you're
incredible.
I'll make it short. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Taylor Swift is doing her Eras Tour. You'll probably be listening while she's still doing the Eras Tour. But basically, on the Eras Tour, she has her set list, and then each night of the tour, she performs 2 surprise songs. Starting in the European leg, or maybe South American, she started doing mashups of her songs. So when I went to France and I saw Taylor Swift in Lyon, France, both nights, I was very blessed. I had an amazing trip. It was an amazing experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And like, listen, if I had to be single at 30 just so I could go see Taylor Swift in Europe and have an amazing trip, like, so be it. Like, I'm so happy. And it kind of plays into what Allison is saying, like timing and everything, and the right things will happen in the right time. So, but anyway, at night 1 of the concert, she played, so basically another song on her new album. And again, I apologize, but I'm also not sorry that we're talking so much about Taylor Swift on this episode.
As we should.
But she does have some good insights, and if you're a hater, just like listen, because just don't hate. Like, it's good insights. Even if you don't like her, what she's saying is wisdom. So she has this song on her new album called The Prophecy. And the whole premise of the song is, people call it the single girl anthem, but I just think it's like the single anthem, like a total single anthem. It could be Jewish, not Jewish, whatever. But it's basically she's saying, here I am, I'm down on my knees, begging, how do I change, who do I speak to change the prophecy? How do I change the prophecy? I'm not asking for that much. I'm just looking for somebody who wants my company. These aren't the like word for word lyrics, but it's like my sum up plus some of the lyrics. So basically she's just like in this it's in a seemingly desperate state, just being like, when is it going to be my turn? I'm watching everyone around me getting married, finding their person. When is it going to be my turn? Who do I speak to change the prophecy? And honestly, I think this wraps up really well into Judaism, because like, just know that we're in this place, but also we can't, there is someone to talk to change it. Like, but also we don't know what we're changing. Like, everything is going to happen in the right time, and I'm getting there.
I totally
But
agree.
like, it's just showing like you can pray, and like there is that outlet, like you can pray for it. But anyway, so she mashes it up to a song called Long Story Short. Long story short, I'm pretty sure is an Evermore, and I'm not the biggest Evermore girly. Sorry if that's blasphemy, but I don't know the song so well. I'm not going to pretend that I'm holding in it. Like, but it's not even about the song that she used. It's the lyrics from the song that she chose. After she goes into like, how do I change the prophecy? Who do I speak to? I'm begging on my knees. She goes, long story short, it was the wrong guy. Long story short, I survived. So it's really just saying, like, you're begging on your knees. You might be praying to God, like, when is this going to happen for me? Why is this not the right thing? Like, when? How do I change this? How do I change my fate? Like, why am I still single? Am I going to just be single forever? But at the end of the day, like Allison was saying, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And, like, you just have to go back. And the goddess of timing was found. It also wraps into like the goddess of timing once found us beguiling. Like, sometimes it's not the right time, and like sometimes it's the right person, wrong time. But sometimes it's just the wrong time, and like you're trying to make it all fit and work.
Yeah.
But it's just the wrong guy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, you are gonna find that right person and that right thing at that right time, and you're gonna survive.
And Taylor wrote the song "The Prophecy" from this place of pain about being single, when is it going to be the right person? But long story short, it was the wrong guy. Meaning when by the time she performed it live, to you, where you heard it, she was in a happy relationship with an amazing guy that she's really excited about.
Yeah.
And, we don't know what's going to happen with this relationship. Obviously, I'm rooting for them. Taylor and Travis, we love you.
Yeah.
But, like, she wrote this song, and then by the time she performed it, actually things had really flipped on their head for her, and her circumstances were totally different. So,
yeah.
Yeshua's Hashem Karaf Ayin, to say it from a Jewish perspective, salvation of God comes in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. Things happen fast.
Things can happen fast, yeah.
Yeah, and like, I don't know.
I know our stage of life can feel really permanent and really long, and it's not to invalidate that at all, because that's a real invalid feeling. But just to say that someday I really think we will look back on all this as just having been a chapter in a much larger life.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think there's a lot of cool things about the single stage.
I think so,
For example,
too.
we're literally chilling on your couch, 9:30 p.m. We don't have any kids to put to sleep.
We're going to make ice cream
We're gonna
after
make
this.
ice cream, and
In
then
my
I'm gonna
Ninja
go watch
Creamy?
The Bachelorette, and probably eat more ice cream at home, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm going to go to bed so I can wake up and ride my Peloton in the morning.
Yeah.
Like,
And we're probably going to buy those Taylor Swift tickets to Vancouver. So
yeah,
everybody,
we're probably going to drop thousands of dollars to go to Vancouver.
Yeah,
even
because
though
we
it's
can.
painful.
Because we
can.
have
Because I don't have a kid.
extendable income without children.
Yeah.
Not knocking kids, but they are expensive.
Yeah, no. It's great to have kids and be married and all that, but we're not.
Yeah.
So, like,
and I think there's a lot of fun things that we can and are doing in our
yeah,
stage.
like, we saw Taylor Swift in Europe.
It was insane. It was where I was there.
Yeah. I'm still at the restaurant.
Literally.
Okay, so sorry, we're just saying a bunch of Taylor Swift lines. But okay. Allison, thank you for the wisdom. And guys, I really hope you can internalize what we're saying, because like, I don't know, I find myself to be pretty jaded and skeptical of like everything, but I do actually believe it, because everything in my life, all these things, they happen really fast.
Yeah.
And like, you never know when.
Yeah.
I'll leave you with another point, which I think I've talked about before I asked Allison her tagline. But I once was listening to this podcast about how to change your mindset. And, like, again, I am so not into that kind of stuff at all. But the one episode out of, like, the hundreds of episodes I listen to, the one that sticks with me is always the concept of tomorrow. And I think that matches up with our Peter thing, with the prophecy and everything. It's just the concept of tomorrow. Like, we go to sleep knowing, like, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
You don't know what opportunity is going to present itself tomorrow. You don't know who you're going to run into on the street. You don't know who's going to randomly text you. You don't know who's going to randomly watch your Instagram story and then swipe up and talk to you. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what you're going to get invited to. You don't know what event's going to come up. But there's always the concept of tomorrow, and anything could happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, so that's as deep as I get.
That was super deep. I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you, Allison. Okay, so Allison, last but certainly not least, what is your Real Housewife tagline?
Okay, I stole it from TikTok, and it is, he is literally just a guy, hit him with your car. It's a TikTok sound. Don't come for me.
It's a TikTok sound.
Don't come for me. But
we're not about to.
The vibe is just, it's just not that serious.
It's just not that serious. He's just a guy.
Just hit him with your car.
Hit him with your car.
Not literally.
Yeah, not actually. Also, we don't have cars, so it's okay.
Facts. We live in the city.
We live in the city. We don't have cars. But yeah, it's just so unserious.
It's just not that serious.
Like, if a boy is just being a boy.
If he's being a Peter, bam. Not, get him to the ground by simply running him over with a car.
Knock him back into Neverland.
Exactly.
Not violently.
We have physical ways we can get his feet on the ground.
Yeah, this is all figurative. We are not violent people.
Don't sue us for defamation. Thank you.
Yes. I mean, we didn't talk about anyone, so.
Facts.
Yeah. But anyway, Allison.
Rachel, thank you so much. I had such a great time being on the podcast. I want to encourage everyone listening to also be a guest, because honestly, it was extremely fun, and I kind of feel like a celebrity right now. And I love listening, so I definitely want the podcast to keep going, and you should all come on and be guests so it can keep going.
Yeah, everyone, that's another plug. Send me a DM, send me an email. I'd love to have you on as a guest. It's fun. We have a fun time.
Facts.
I can't promise
confirm.
you that I'll invite you to my apartment to make ice cream with my Ninja Creamy, but
I'm so excited.
But, like, we'll have a fun Zoom conversation, and we can have a drink together over Zoom.
Amazing.
While we talk.
Thank you, Rachel. This was amazing.
Thank you so much, Allison. This was so fun. And Shaky Situation Nation, you'll catch me next time. Bye, everybody.